A very special feature out here in the rain with the Jaguar XJ220. This legendary super sports car, 25th anniversary now in the year 2017. I will tell you the story of this car. I will tell you my personal story with this vehicle, because it has something to do with the reason I'm standing here now today. And we will cover this vehicle in exterior, interior and the driving experience. We'll have a nice ride in this one here for you. This is still a pure super sports car you used to build back in the days. I can tell you, I can promise you a very exciting episode on Autogefühl, your number one resource for in-depth car reviews and your number one community to discuss cars here in full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! From 1992 till 1994, this vehicle has been built, and approximately just 280 times. And in 1997, I discovered this vehicle in Need for Speed 2, the video game. One of the most popular games ever in this segment, and one of the very first that became so popular. And playing this as a child, this vehicle really stood out from design, from everything, and was like, wow, that actually really got me into being a car enthusiast. Also because alongside in the game there was some, they had marketing at that time too, and they also had an advertisement for the Jaguar XK8, and this then became my favorite vehicle and really got me more involved in cars and the emotional side and the aesthetics and the design, especially of the Jaguar brand. And so this vehicle really has special meaning to me, although I am not really a fan of super sports cars, and still very special moment to me to be able to touch this one, which I looked at as a child, and was cost €500,000. And the interesting thing is, it cost about £400,000 or €500,000 at that time, then lost in value. And now, the last 2 to 3 years, the latest auctions were again at that very price, and it's supposed to be rising up even further. 4.93 meters or 16'2" is the total length, and the original concept from '88 was even longer because they planned to have a V12 in there. And also all-wheel drive, and for 3 people. That was all cancelled, was made for 2 people. There's V6 inside and no all-wheel drive, so rear-wheel drive, and so it remained at this length. But as it's so super flat, it looks longer. 17-inch rims in the front 18-inch in the rear, and especially a tire made by Pirelli just for this vehicle actually, that it can be driven, and it has been reproduced right now. Also interesting story. So much small interesting stories about this vehicle. And I think this silhouette with very strong shoulders in, well, front and the rear is really interesting. Here the air intake for the engine, which is this midship engine concept, and you see it's a seamless design, not too many design lines, which is always characterized for those iconic Jaguar models. And of course it really, you know, it looks like really like a shark, like a fish in the water, something like that. And of course it's really good for the wind coefficient. And about the name 220, well, it's about 220 miles per hour, and at a test ride it reached 217 miles an hour, so came pretty close, but really damn fast, of course. What do you think about the design of this iconic super sports car? And an impressive rear here, of course, with a huge wing. Actually 1,500 kilograms of weight only, although it looks that big, but that's, you know, to get the performance on the ground, of course. And there are really even more stories I can tell you about this car. For example, this one here is number 8, and it is the last prototype car that's been built. So the first 8 vehicles were prototypes, basically hand-built. This one is the last handcrafted one. Then, beginning with the 9th, it was the serial production then, and this car wasn't actually not meant to be built. There was a group of 12 people meeting after work, working on this car basically for free at first. And only after the motor show of '88, then they decided, hey, people really want to buy this car. Let's make it like a hand-built super sports car or just a small series. Then there was also, you know, a financial crisis when this car was released, and so some orders were cancelled again. That's also the reason why the price dropped down. So a lot of drama about this vehicle, but there's still about 280 out there, 287 to be very correct. And actually it's supposed to be that all still exist. And maybe also due to this iconic design, no matter where you take a look at it, from which perspective, it's, you know, always so spectacular. Let's take a look inside, and actually the doors, they do not open widely at all, so it's hard to get in. Oh, I also see 0008, so it says here also it's number 8. The steering wheel, you know, everything is really, where the exterior is so futuristic. And the interior, you see that it has already aged. Also the full animal skin equipment, of course, nowadays is a real sports car would have built otherwise. You see that, you know, also with the instrument gauges and so on. And let's try to get inside. The handbrake is on the right, of course. It's a right-hand drive car, and wow, it's really, you have to squeeze yourself in here. Oh, here we go, with some gauges on the right side, and it's really very narrow in here, and also headroom-wise. So I'm directly sitting under the glass roof. Well, I mean, there was a smaller drive in here before. I could put the seat a little bit more down. When you see me later on the co-driver seat, you see that I have some more room above my head. But really, the car looks so big on the exterior, but it's rather tiny on the interior. So some more details, for example, to put the windows up and down in the middle console. Also here with the manual gearbox you can see. Then, I mean, like for the air conditioning, that's an air conditioning by the way, because with the glass roof it gets really hot in this vehicle. So this is a special feature. Not every race car had an air conditioning at that time for sure, but it's also a street legal race car of course. Then moving on to the steering wheel, Jaguar logo, so totally classic gauges, all analog at that time of course. And you see this is in a way a timeless style, and actually pretty much good in shape at the most points we can see, considering it's a 25-year-old car. What do you think here? So then the gauges I mentioned earlier. Here at the inside of the door is a pretty interesting position, but I mean it's good in the driver's view. Then you can see the seats, they offer you a lot of side support and really cage you in, like when you want to be on a racetrack. And you will hear it really gets loud in this vehicle, and you can feel it's not really meant to do, you know, like an everyday super sports car like what's McLaren trying to do at the moment, also to offer more luggage space and stuff. This one is a super sports car to be owned, to be standing in the garage, and then, well, meant to be really on the racetrack at that time, even though most owners would not really do that. And a short stop in the pits, good for me because it's dry here. And let's take a look at this engine here. 3.5 liter V6. As I said earlier, they thought about putting a V12 in there, but then it was, you know, space issues, and this was also like a more modern concept at that time already. 549 horsepower, and of course massive power output, and always great to look at. Also just the design, this is one, you know, you can still see stuff actually. So nowadays it's not really possible to see so much, even with super sports cars. Most of the time they are really hidden, those engines. Here you can still enjoy everything of it. And let's also move on over to the second hatch that is available here. And well, is there any luggage space? Because here in the front, no, it's actually not. This is just for, you know, additional cooling here. It's then directed also towards the engines. As you can see, there's really no room for luggage in this vehicle. Wow, hey, I did find a third hatch. And yes, we do have somewhat like a luggage compartment. And just, you know, to show you the real height of it, there's a CD changer, by the way. 6 discs. Wow, that was really futuristic at that time. And then I want to hear your suggestions in the comment. What would a super sports car driver, well, first aid kit, that's of course important, but what would a super sports car driver put in this, can you call it trunk or luggage compartment, or boot, of course, for a UK vehicle? Well, really funny fact about the XJ220, right? So guys, now we are on board on the XJ220 with Phil Talboys, test center manager here. And maybe you can tell us something about your old lady here, and maybe also show us what this old lady still got. Okay.
So this is the Jaguar XJ220, so the supercar from the late 80s, early 90s. Twin turbocharged V6, rear wheel drive, no driving aid, so very different to modern vehicles. She really comes alive once you get her moving, and she likes to go fast. So just get around here. We're using the new Pirelli tyre that Jaguar has developed with Pirelli. So 345 on the rear, and the mechanical grip, as you'll see in a second, is quite phenomenal.
It's really good grip here.
Yeah.
It's hardly you're hardly burning rubber to the ground, so it's not squeaking at all. So now 120 miles per hour, 130, 140 miles per hour.
Here the air rush gets more and more and more the quicker, because the turbochargers damp out quite a lot of sound from the engine.
Yeah, it's really.
You really hear the air rush over the car.
Yeah, it's really very loud in here. So they didn't talk about sound insulation here, right? Wow, that's a grip. Amazing. So now to the big straight here.
We're turning left here though, we're not going all the way. So we turn left here.
So what's the fastest speed you've driven with this car so far?
In this one,
Yeah.
maybe 160, not so fast here today.
Have you driven it on another track to 220 miles per hour yet?
No, not an XJ220. It's a very rare car, privileged to be allowed to drive it, than to get it out of the museum.
I mean, it's also comparing it to modern super sports cars, it's still relatively smooth to ride. So what I feel as
It's a good ride.
As a passenger. So I would actually have expected it to be a little bit rougher, you know.
No, it's still quite a composed car. The power delivery is quite quality.
I mean, considering it's 25 years old, right?
A little bit of oversteer.
So what about the ESP? Can you spin her around?
There isn't any.
So there's no ESP, okay? So you could spin her around.
You could do, yeah. If you got properly over enthusiastic, yeah, there is nothing to save you.
But this, I mean, also we got the midship engine concept, or like the rear. Is it?
Yeah,
it's rear.
mid-engine.
Yeah,
you've got the mid-engine. You've got 345 profile rear tyres. You've got a lot of aero. You've got race car derived suspension and chassis. So
you got a lot of weight to the rear then as well.
Middle of the car.
Yeah. So is that all the reason why the rear is not like sliding out?
Not moving around. Yeah. A lot of mechanical grip and weight over the rear of the car, in the middle of the car. So
so if you want to slide it around, you really have to push the
really have to try it. Yeah. I mean, if we come out of here second gear,
you can try it.
that's full throttle.
Wow. Still not going. Wow. So nowadays cars, they often try to do it like on an electronical level, but here they really engineered it in a way. I mean, ESP was not really a subject 25 years ago.
No, it was maybe in its ABS was only just in its infancy back then, I think. So yeah, ESP was certainly not there. So it was all about the mechanics and the setup of the car to get the grip.
Yeah, really amazing.
I mean, it's very much a race car view if you look from the front.
Yeah, really.
Very low, very long, flat windscreen.
Totally, exactly. Yeah. So how much steering work is it actually? Because is there any support from the steering or?
No, there's no assistance. So it's quite a mechanical car to drive, quite a physical car to drive.
So you need to be very strong then. So what would you say? What's to you the main difference if you compare it to modern super sports cars?
The main difference, I think it's more of a mechanic. The driving experience is maybe purer. It's certainly more mechanical. You've got to work at it. The steering's heavier. The throttle pedal's heavy. The whole thing. The turbo lag. It's just it's a pure driver's car.
Well, I had to wait 2 decades to be able to take a look at this very vehicle, and it was really a personal experience to me. And I wouldn't have expected it, especially in riding, to be even rougher. But it was actually quite comfortable, considering, you know, the age of the car, and then it's still a super sports car. From design, still unmatched, I think, in the super sports car segment to me. Very beautiful. From the interior, you know, I would use different surface materials for sure. Definitely an amazing car. You see, especially in the interior, that this, you know, has aged a bit, of course, but the exterior is basically still up to date. That is because at that time it was really so futuristic. I really hope you liked this special insight here today. And of course, join us for our full reviews and our automotive special episodes. Thanks so much for tuning in.